Hello, how are you? And here we are with the revision for upcoming NET exam. Well, let me tell you first, from now onwards, I am Hina from Team Vallath. Well, our name has changed and the entire story behind it shall be unveiled very soon on YouTube. Okay? So today's unit that shall be discussed is British literature. It shall be discussed in 2-3 parts. So we start with part 1 of British literature today. And these are important questions. They will give you confidence when you will sit and take the paper on the final day. Okay? So let's start. Question number 1. What is or are common to the following novels? Wuthering Heights, The Heart of Darkness, and Frankenstein. What is common in all these novels? Tell me. A. All map the dark aspects of human psyche. Correct? Correct. B. All depict the death of beautiful women. I don't think so. So let's keep B aside. C. All depict a fascination with dead bodies. Correct? Absolutely correct. And D. All depict the device of frame narrative. Correct? Oh, yes, it is. So I feel A, C, and D are correct. So where is the option A, C, and D? It is option B, right? Now, very easy. Tell me, Wuthering Heights author. Who is it? It is, come on. Emily Bronte, 1847 novel. Then The Heart of Darkness. Who has written it? It's a novella by Joseph Conrad. And Frankenstein, you know, is by Mary Shelley. Yes? Let's go to question number 2. Which of the following poems is not written in blank verse? Ulysses, Tintern Abbey, Dover Beach, or Home Burial? Tell me, a poem not in blank verse. Ulysses is definitely in blank verse. Tintern Abbey is also in blank verse. Home Burial is also in blank verse. So the answer is Dover Beach, not in blank verse. It is actually a heterometric text, which means it has iambs, but in different meters. It has iambic, it has an iambic dimeter, an iambic trimeter, an iambic tetrameter, an iambic pentameter. Did you understand that? And Dover Beach, do you know? It is a poem by Matthew Arnold, right? Written in these meters that I told you. Easy. Let's go to question number 3. Which of the following statements is not true about Waiting for Godot? Not true. A. Estrigan is Gogo and Vladimir is Didi. Correct? Yes, correct. B. Most of the time, Estrigan sits on the ground and sleeps while Vladimir keeps standing. True? Absolutely true. In Act 2, Lucky is blind and Pozzo is dumb. I don't think Lucky gets blind. It is Pozzo who gets blind, right? So this is a wrong option. While option D is, in Act 1, Lucky delivers a long monologue. Is it true? Yes, it is. Which means option C, in Act 2, Lucky is blind and Pozzo is dumb. No, it is Pozzo who becomes blind. And let me tell you, when Vladimir looks at a blind Pozzo, he asks him, "Hey, Pozzo, how did you become blind? You were all good yesterday." For which Pozzo replies that the blind have no notion of time. Waiting for Godot is a tragicomedy in 2 acts. Yes, it's a play by Samuel Beckett. Let's move to question number 4. Which of Byron's poem begins in the following manner? I want a hero, an uncommon want, when every year and month sends forth a new one. Oh, I just discussed this question in YouTube Shorts yesterday. Do you remember? If you have seen my short, you know the answer. First, let me tell you the options. A, The Vision of Judgment. B, Don Juan. C, Childe Harold's Pilgrimage. Or D, Ode to Napoleon Bonaparte. Which poem begins with I want a hero, an uncommon want? The answer is option B, Don Juan. Well, Don Juan, you know, written by Lord Byron, in which Byron says, I want an uncommon subject, okay? I want a subject which has not been spoken about till now. That is why he spoke of this larger-than-life figure, Don Juan, and he changed him. Don Juan originally is this legendary character who is a womanizer, but Byron in his poem has represented Don as a very gullible, naive, and innocent person, right? So the answer is Don Juan. Let's move to question number 5. Which Shakespearean character says, If music be the food of love, play on. The options are A. Falstaff, B. Duke Orsino, C. Prospero, or D. Touchstone. Tell me. If music be the food of love, play on. This is the first line of Twelfth Night. And who speaks it? Duke Orsino. Yes, this young Duke who is blindly in love, but his love is not getting reciprocated. He's telling to the musicians, keep singing. If I will stuff myself with food, I will end up hating it. So if you will give me too much music, I might end up forgetting my love. That is what he meant. That is what Duke Orsino meant, right? Because the lover whom he loves does not return that love. Okay? And he wants to forget this love. If music be the food of love, play on. Twelfth Night, a comedy by Shakespeare. This takes us to question number 6. In which magazine did Rossetti publish The Stealthy School of Criticism as a reply to Robert Buchanan's essay titled The Fleshly School of Poetry? Basically, the question is easy. The Stealthy School of Criticism was published in which of these magazines? Option A, the Athenaeum, B, the Germ, C, Contemporary Reviews, or D, New Statesman. It is option A, the Athenaeum. Okay. Now, a little bit about the Fleshly School of Poetry. This was a fierce attack on the pre-Raphaelites, and it was written by Robert Buchanan. Okay. Now, it was written in the year 1871. Here, Robert Buchanan has actually attacked the pre-Raphaelites because he said that these pre-Raphaelites' poetry is a morbid deviation from healthy forms of life. It is over-sensuous. It is too much exquisite. It is nothing tender. And to this, D.G. Rossetti replied, okay, in December 1871, in the Athenaeum magazine, with this, this work named The Stealthy School of Criticism. Easy? Easy. Question number 7. Which one among the 4 Anglo-Saxon manuscripts contains some riddles? Option A, the Beowulf MS, B, the Junius MS, C, the Exeter MS, or D, the Vercelli book. Tell me, which of these contains riddles? It is option C, the Exeter. Now, I have to tell you, Old English poetic material has come to us in the form of 4 different manuscripts. The first is called Junius or Sedman manuscript, which is a poetic anthology. The second one is called as Exeter, which is a mixture of religious and secular verse, and it also contains riddles. Understood? The third one, Vercelli book, and the fourth one, Novel Codex. Both of them are a mixture of poetry and prose. Easy, easy. Question number 8. Arrange the following plays in the chronological order of publication. A, The Deserted Village, B, The Plain Dealer, C, The Rivals, or D, The Beggar's Opera. You have to arrange them chronologically. It's a little difficult question, but don't worry, we'll discuss it right now. The answer is option A, B, D, A, C. So let's start with B, The Plain Dealer. It's a restoration comedy by William Wycherley. It was published in the year, or it was premiered in 1676. Remember it. The Plain Dealer, 1676. After this comes what? It is The Beggar's Opera. The Beggar's Opera is by John Gay of 1728. Remember, The Beggar's Opera of 1728. Then comes A, The Deserted Village. This is a poem by Oliver Goldsmith of 1770. Okay, so The Deserted Villages, The Deserted Villages, 1770. And the last one is C, The Rivals, which is a comedy by R.B. Sheridan of the year 1775. So the answer is BDAC. Question number 9. What, according to Coleridge, is the living power and prime agenda of all human perception? Option A, secondary imagination, B, fancy, C, primary imagination, or D, none of these. Tell me, what did Coleridge call the living power and the prime agent of all human perception? It is option C, primary imagination. Now listen to me. Coleridge had his autobiography named Biographia Literaria, in which he divided imagination into 2 different parts, primary imagination and secondary imagination. Primary imagination, according to Coleridge, is the living power and the primary agent, whereas the secondary imagination is the echo of the primary imagination. Did you understand? Which means it is primary imagination, but with its limitations. Okay? This takes us to question number 10. Which two books of Paradise Lost were split to make book 11 and 12? Options are A, book 7 and 10, B, book 7 and 9, C, book 9 and 10, or D, book 8 and 9. See, basically, Paradise Lost first was published in as book 1. Like, in book 1, we have, or I can say in version 1, we should say like that. In version 1 of Paradise Lost, there are 10 books. But in version 2 of Paradise Lost, there are 12 books. So how 10 books became 12? That is by splitting book number 7 and 10. Okay, so the correct answer is option A. Books 7 and 10 were split to make book 11 and 12 of the second version of Paradise Lost. And Paradise Lost is an epic poem in blank verse by John Milton, published in the year 1667. Okay, this takes us to question number 11. Which character in the Canterbury Tales maintains a secular lifestyle, including keeping lap dogs who are privileged over people, a fancy rosary, a brooch inscribed with Amor vincit omnia, which means love conquers all? Who is this person we are talking about in the Canterbury Tales? Tell me. Option A, the wife of Bath, B, the prioress, C, the miller, or D, the reeve. Do you know the answer? Yes, you do. It is Madame Eglantine. And you will say, where is Madame Eglantine? Oh, it is the prioress. The name of prioress is Madame Eglantine, a lady who just tries to seem very courtly in her behavior. She eats so carefully so as not even a drop should spill. She speaks incorrect French, but she speaks in that nasal tone. She tries to be very gentle, very womanly. She has this brooch, which means love conquers all, amor vincit omnia. It is the prioress, the Canterbury Tales, a collection of 24 stories by Geoffrey Chaucer. Yes? This takes us to question number 12. Which transitional poet wrote The Task, a poem, in 6 books in the year 1785? And this task is basically a long poem in blank verse. Just tell me who has written the poem called The Task. Who has written The Task? Option A, William Cowper, B, James Thomson, C, Thomas Gray, or D, Robert Burns. Say, it is Cowper. Okay. Now, tell me the list of, these transitional poets. Gray, Burns, Collins, Cowper, Crabbe, Thompson. Gray, Burns, Collins, Cowper, Crabbe, Thompson. They are the transitional poets. Okay. Why are they called transitional poets? They filled in the space between 18th century neoclassicism and 19th century romanticism. Their poetry was absolutely against the normal convention or the accepted rules of that time. Okay, it was like a revolution, right? And as I told you, The Task, a poem in 6 books, is of the year 1785 by Cowper. Easy. Question number 13. Who among the following authors collaborated in the writing of The Ascent of F6, a tragedy in 2 acts? Basically, which 2 authors have written The Ascent of F6 together? A, Cecil de Lewy, B, Stephen Spender, C, W.H. Auden, and D, Christopher Usherwood. 2 of these have written The Ascent of F6 together. It is Auden and Christopher Usherwood. So C and D, which means option D is the correct answer. Let me tell you, there is something called as the Usherwood-Auden collaboration or the Auden-Usherwood collaboration. These 2 authors wrote 3 plays together. They were very important. They are important. So the first play they wrote together is The Dog Beneath the Skin of the year 1935. The second one is this, The Ascent of F6, which was written in the year 1936. And the third play written by Usher and Auden together is On the Frontier of the year 1938. Easy, Easy. What are we doing today? We have started the revision for the upcoming NET exam, and today's topic is British Literature Part 1. Okay, let's go to question number 14. I'll come to 15. Okay, 14 had a little confusion. In which year was the first printing press established in England? Options are A 1476, B 1456, C 1453, or D 1473. Tell me. It is option A 1476. And who brought printing press to England? William Caxton. Okay, William Caxton brought printing press to England in the year 1476. This takes us to question number 16. The story of King Arthur first appeared in option A, Old English manuscripts, B, Layman's Brute, C, Wace's Arthurian Chronicle, or D, Geoffrey of Monmouth's Historia Regum Britanniae. Tell me. It is option D, Historia Regum Britanniae. Now see, King Arthur as a historical figure, first of all, was spoken about in, let me tell you, when I Google searched, it was first, King Arthur was first of all discussed in Historia Brittonum, and Annals Cambrai, in these two books. But when you see where it was popularized or who popularized it, the answer comes as Geoffrey of Monmouth. He popularized it because he discussed King Arthur in length in his work Historia Regum Britanniae. Now, since these options, Annals Cambrai or Historia Brittonum, they are not here particularly, so we will go with Geoffrey of Monmouth as the answer, right? So the story of King Arthur first appeared in Geoffrey of Monmouth's Historia Regum Britanniae. Easy? Easy. You have to call it easy after all the explanation we are giving you. Question number 17. Who introduced blank verse into English poetry? A. Henry Howard, B. Sir Philip Sidney, C. Christopher Marlowe, or D. William Shakespeare. Blank verse into English poetry was introduced by option A, Henry Howard, when he translated the second and the fourth book of Aeneid. Did you understand? Basically, Howard translated the second and the fourth book of Aeneid, and with this, he introduced blank verse in English poetry. Easy. Question number 18. What is the correct order of the 5 elements of the Greek tragedy? Okay, I'll not read all the options. You just tell me the order of the 5 elements of Greek tragedy. Read them. I'll tell you the answer. It is option A. Okay, let's discuss it. 5 elements of Greek tragedy. The first is prologue, which is basically a monologue or a dialogue preceding the entry of the chorus. The second is parados. Parados is entrance ode. The third element of the Greek tragedy is episode, which are usually 3 to 5 in number. The fourth element of Greek tragedy is stasimon, which means stationary ode. And the last and the fifth element of Greek tragedy is exodus, which is the exit ode or the exit song of the chorus, which is sung after the final episode. So did you understand the 5 elements in order? Prologue, parados, episode, stasimon, exodus, right? Question number 19. Which Elizabethan playwright completed Marlowe's poem, Hero and Leander? A. Chapman, B. Fletcher, C. Messenger, or D. Michael Drayton? Marlowe's poem, Hero and Leander, basically retells this Greek myth of Hero and Leander. Okay, he could not complete it. He died in 1593. Chapman completed it and published. This poem was published 5 years after Marlowe's death, which means in the year 1598, because Marlowe lived from 1564 to 1593. So what should be the correct answer? A. Chapman. Chapman is the Elizabethan playwright who completed Marlowe's poem, Hero and Leander. And this takes us to the last question of today. It is, which is Tennyson's ballet that praises the heroic defense of the Indian rebellion by the English soldiers? A. The Charge of the Light Brigade. B. The Promise of May. C. The Defense of Lucknow. Or D. Havelock, November 25th, 1857. Tell me. Tennyson has praised the heroic defense of the English soldiers. Basically, Tennyson is praising the English, not the Indians, in this poem. It is the defense of Lucknow. Now, let me tell you, the siege of Lucknow is an important historical event which took place in the year 1857. Okay. Now, here, Tennyson, the Victorian poet, in his ballet, he spoke of the struggle between the British East India Company and the Indian soldiers. Okay. And his ballet, The Defense of Lucknow, talks about this, in which he's praising the heroic defense by the English soldiers. Right? And we are done here. I hope you loved today's session. I will come again tomorrow with part 2 of British literature. Remember, we have started with this Net Cracker series from Vallath to help you crack the net exam this time. Okay. Thank you so much. This is Hina from Team Vallath. Take care of yourself. Bye.